In businesses, survival isn't only about making profits. It's about knowing when and how to exit. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in India is the emergency room for companies under financial distress. And in 2025, it is getting a life-saving upgrade. Hello friends, welcome to your lordships. In today's video, we are going to discuss the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill of 2025. This bill has recently been introduced in the Lok Sabha and has been referred to the Select Committee for further consultations. Let us briefly discuss the background of the bill. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code was enacted in the year 2016, which provided a comprehensive and consolidated law dealing with companies and various other entities under financial distress. This law replaced the earlier regime of debtor in control with creditor in control system, meaning thereby after this new regime, it was the creditors and the lenders who are going to decide the fate of the company in the case of insolvency or financial distress. The goal is therefore to rescue and reorganize struggling companies within a time-bound framework so that the assets, they don't lose their value, so that the businesses survive and all stakeholders are accordingly protected. Therefore, insolvency resolution has been created as a process of finding a way either to save or close a financially distressed entity. Coming to the question as to why the need for amendment was felt, with this new bill, the government seeks to reduce the delays, streamline the processes, and improve governance for all the stakeholders which are involved under the code. Over the years, several bottlenecks were witnessed which led to undue delays in resolution of a case. These undue delays in practice made the system very slow. The case admission particularly may lead to a time frame of over an year instead of the target that was contemplated in the Act for 14 days. So too much discretion in favor of the National Company Law Tribunal with respect to the admission of the case was the main point of discussion for introducing the new bill. In Supreme Court, also in the year 2022, laid down that the 14-day time limit for admission of a case was not a mandatory time limit and it was in the discretion of the NCLT. In order to admit a case, it may fulfill the requirement. Accordingly, this new bill wants to make this 14-day time limit a strict criteria, and the NCLT must give the written reasons for any delay beyond the contemplated time of 14 days. Therefore, it ensures a faster admission of the case and follows the global best practices. So the first change which has been contemplated by this new bill is faster case admission. So three essentials will be seen when a matter before NCLT is there for admission. Firstly, it will be seen whether the default is there or not, meaning whether the company has paid his debt or not. Then the procedural compliance part will be seen, meaning thereby whether all the documents have been submitted, whether all the documents are in order. And lastly, whether the licensed insolvency manager has no disciplinary case against him. So if these three essentials are met, and among them, majorly, if it is proven that the default is there, then the case has to be allowed. If a financial creditor proves the above, then the insolvency must be admitted and no extra ground for further delay would be permitted. Proof of default from the institutional records from financial institutions would be sufficient in order to establish the default of a particular entity, and it would be enough in order to admit a case, and thus this bill seeks to avoid long disputes and long delay in order to further admit the case. NCLT thus should follow a 14-day strict timeline in order to admit a case, and if there is any delay, that delay must be recorded with reason in writing. The next change that has been contemplated is the out-of-court mechanism and creditor-initiated insolvency resolution process. So out-of-court mechanism, out-of-court settlement has been facilitated by the provisions of this bill, wherein the creditors who are holding more than or equal to 51% of the total debt, if they agree, and the corporate debtor, in the case of company is in trouble, he can keep running the daily operations, and the resolution professional who is there, he must attend the board meetings and can veto bad decisions. And if the entire process of out-of-court settlement, this entire process must finish within 150 days, and if it does not finish, then it will be converted into a regular corporate insolvency resolution process under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. So, another change that has been introduced is out-of-court mechanism through creditor-initiated insolvency resolution process, a quicker out-of-court way to handle genuine business failure. This has been introduced by the new amendment bill. Benefits are that less disruption would be there, faster results could be achieved, and lighter load would be there on the courts like the National Company Law Tribunal. The next change that has been contemplated under this act is group and cross-border insolvency. So in this change, obviously there can be various other entities which belong to a same group. So for them, a comprehensive resolution process can be resorted to. For companies in the same corporate group, insolvency will be handled together. Earlier, the problem was that for the companies which are under the same group, separate insolvency processes created various backlogs and delays. So, a comprehensive group resolution for companies under the same group has been facilitated and contemplated. Same professional joint decision making by the Committee of Creditors has been contemplated. So, this avoids the loss of value from handling each company separately. And cross-border insolvency has also been contemplated in compliance with the global best practices. So, handling of cases where companies have assets or creditors in multiple countries have been permitted and enabled. The goal is there for global recognition of Indian insolvency processes and easier recovery of overseas assets of any company. So, in this way, we can say that this new amendment facilitates the group insolvency and cross-border insolvency, makes the foreign recognition rules, it recognizes the global best practices, and group-level procedures are also contemplated. The next change that has been contemplated in the new bill is liquidation oversight and other residuary reforms. Liquidation is basically the selling of a company assets to repay debts when the revival is impossible. When the Committee of Creditors are the group of financial creditors who are the main lenders who make key decisions by voting. So votes proportional to the debt owned has been accorded to the Committee of Creditors. So Committee of Creditors can supervise liquidation and replace the liquidator if they have a 66% or above of the vote. Other updates which have been done in the new bill includes the Committee of Creditor can restart the CIRP once to try rescuing a viable firm. Then the resolution plan can now include asset sales, preventing of fraud and dodgy transactions even after resolution, clarify the order of the payment priority including government dues, and then lastly digitalization of the processes and strengthening of the IBBI, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India. So these were the key changes that have been contemplated under the new Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code Amendment Bill of 2025. The advantages are that it is the new changes, if they are implemented, the system will become much faster, more predictable. It will have a higher value for recovery, and more transparent and fairness are contemplated under the new provisions under the amendment. The concerns which it can be highlighted is that still it will be dependent upon the capacity of the National Company Law Tribunal, which is still overburdened with many cases. So this overburdening of cases over the National Company Law Tribunal still remains an issue which needs to be seen. Some frameworks like cross-border insolvency needs to detailed rules, and not all sector-specific problems are addressed by the new bill. So thus, in conclusion, we can say that the new bill strengthens India's insolvency framework by focusing on speed, fairness, and global alignment, helping making India a business environment which is more resilient and investment friendly. So that's all for today. Thanks a lot, guys. Do like, share, and subscribe our channel, and do comment your views in the comment section. Thanks a lot.